Hi guys, it's Ben Heath from Lead Guru, and this video is all about Facebook ads for small businesses. Specifically, I'm going to go through my number one strategy, my favorite strategy for generating leads and sales for small businesses, specifically with Facebook ads, because you have to do things differently with a small business on Facebook than you do with a large brand. I mean, for a start, as a small business, people probably don't know who you are. So you can't rely on your brand to help you sell your products or services like you can when you run Facebook ads for large businesses. And you probably don't have the budget as a small business to build that brand awareness either. So if you can't benefit from the sort of strategies that they use, you have to approach things differently. And really, it all comes down to the offer. Now, I'm going to get to that later on when we get to the ad stage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create an example Facebook ad campaign and show exactly how I would set it up specifically for a small business. So here I am inside Ads Manager. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Create button. So I'm just going to call this example campaign. Ignore all of this. Now, the first thing that I would say about when you're creating Facebook ads for small businesses is that you want your campaign objective to really go after what it is that you want. And I think that as a small business, you've probably got relatively limited cash flow. Your Facebook ads need to deliver. They need to perform results, they need to bring money back into the business. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to keep spending on them. So I think you want to go ahead and use the conversions objective, and you're going to either directly go for purchases, or you're going to directly go for directly go for purchases, or you're going to directly go for leads for your services, depending on the type of business that you have. Now, in order to use the conversions objective, you're going to need to install the Facebook pixel on your website. If you don't already have it installed, you don't know how to do it, check out the link in the video description below. There will be one to a video I've created that shows you exactly how to install the Facebook pixel. So don't worry about all of that, very straightforward. Okay, that's what I'd say at the campaign level. Everything else you can just leave as is. Don't need to split tests, CBO, any of that sort of stuff. Let's go now with example ad set. And let's just pop in example ad. I'm going to go through each stage of this campaign. Okay, so let's now go into the ad set level. First thing you got to do when you create a conversions-based campaign is select which conversion events you want this campaign to optimize for. What do you want Facebook to try and get you? In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use lead. Again, to use this, you're going to need event code installed on your website. That's either triggered when people make a purchase or triggered when people become a lead. Relatively straightforward to set up. Again, that's included in the video description, so make sure you check that out. So first thing obviously you need to do is just make sure you select the right one. If you want purchases, select purchases. If you want leads, select leads. Pretty straightforward. You can ignore all this. Obviously set a budget that you are comfortable with, something that won't bankrupt you if it goes wrong, but also don't spend too little so that it's not going to make a difference or be worth it. If you're just looking to advertise with £5 a day, even if you get a 10x return on that, that's £50 a day. Is that really going to do anything for your business? Maybe, maybe not. So I would set that at a level at which, if it does work, it's actually going to mean something. Otherwise, you're just going to become disinterested, and what's the point? Okay, scrolling down to audiences. Now, there's basically two types of small business. There's local, well, there's lots of types, but for this purposes, there's local small businesses, and there's national or international small businesses. Businesses that operate on a local basis need to do things differently when it comes to targeting to businesses that operate on a much wider geographical area. Local businesses probably just want to go ahead and select the demographic data that best describes their customers. So let's say, for example, your customers are men aged 35 to, let's say, 50. Let's pop that in there. Okay, now that's a massive market in the whole of the UK, 13 million. But let's say you operate on a local basis and you are based in Bristol, which is a city in the UK. And 25 miles is too wide for you. You want to go ahead with something like, 10 might be a bit small. But let's say your area of operation is something like 15 miles. Okay, now that already reduces your audience size to just 260,000, which is about the limit. Well, okay, you can operate with audiences smaller than that. I wouldn't go with anything less than 100,000 unless you really live somewhere very, very unpopulated, and that's just where your customers are and there just aren't more people. But I wouldn't want to go with an audience much smaller than that if I was targeting a relatively large city like Bristol. But you can see, look, we're already targeting down to 260,000. All we've done is enter in our location parameters, and in fact, I haven't even selected gender there. If I went with men, that's going to shrink it all. But let's say it's 35 to 50, all, both men and women. Okay, so just make sure that your audiences aren't too small if you're operating on a local basis. You probably can't go ahead and add in demographic information, interest information, and get really specific because your audience will just be too small. Having said that, if you're a local business that operates in a massive city with really dense population, like London, New York, LA, these sorts of places, then yes, you can probably go ahead and add some other targeting options in here. But most local businesses just want to keep it very, very simple and be very careful about the too small audience. That is a big deal that people often miss out on. Now, let's assume you're not a local business and you're operating nationally or internationally. So let's say, I don't know why that's not coming up. Let's say in the United Kingdom. Though for those businesses, and some local businesses can do this as well, the best targeting option to use for a small business, remember, what we want from our campaigns is not brand awareness. We're not trying to get the word out to thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. We're trying to get people to buy your products and services. So I think the best thing to do there is to use a lookalike audience that is based off your previous customers. Now, a lookalike audience contains people that are very similar to another group of people. So a lookalike audience based off your previous customers, you're basically targeting on Facebook people that are very similar to your previous customers. So that makes complete sense. Those are the people that are most likely to be interested in your product and services. So I'll have a bunch of lookalikes created in my account. Okay, here we go. So lookalikes based off previous leads, as an example. Now, if you're advertising on a localized, somewhat localized basis, but you've still got a large population, go ahead and create something like a 10% lookalike audience. If you are advertising on a nationwide or internationally, you can probably get away with a 1% lookalike audience. I'm not going to get into lookalikes too much now. If you don't know how to create them or you don't know the intricacies of what size, when to use them, all that sort of stuff, I cover that in another video. Check out the video description for a video on Facebook lookalike audiences specifically. Really recommend you go through that. That will really help you with working this out and deciding this process. But let's say we've got a 1% lookalike. We're advertising the whole of the UK, all age 35 to 50. That brings us to 160,000. With lookalikes, you want to keep everything broad because we're already targeting an audience of people that are very similar to your previous customers. So if all your previous customers are 30 to 55, then everyone within this lookalike that is 420,000 will roughly be 30 to 55 anyway. So when you're targeting a lookalike, please open targeting. Don't mess around with any of this. Don't add in demographic interest behaviors. That's just going to bring your audience too small. And in the UK, something like 420,000 sounds about perfect. Okay, so fairly straightforward. I hope you understand that. There's two options. If you're a small business that's local, go ahead and do what I did previously. You can use a lookalike if you're a local business, but a 10% one if you're in a highly populated area, New York, London, something like that. If you're not in a highly populated area, then can't use a lookalike, audience will be too small. You just need to use demographic information. But if you operate nationally or internationally like we do, yes, 1% lookalikes, and go ahead, enter your countries, leave everything else blank. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Moving on, you can leave all of this the same because we're using the conversions objective. Using automatic placements is absolutely fine. You don't need to edit placements. You can leave conversions as the optimization event. That's absolutely what we want. Conversion window you can leave as the default. If you think you're going to be generating more than 50 purchases a day, more than 50 leads a day, then you might want to change that to 1 day click. I've created a whole video about conversion windows, so you can check that out on my YouTube channel if you're interested. Otherwise, don't worry about that. Leave it open, and don't worry about the cost control either. So that's the ad set. Fairly straightforward. With this example, we're operating with a nationwide business. We're using a 1% lookalike based off previous customers. Now we need to move on to the ad. Okay, so now we're at the ad level. The first thing I need to talk about at the ad level, and this is so important for small businesses that are advertising on Facebook, is that what you offer really matters. Now, when Nike run a Facebook ad campaign, they can put up their products and generate tons of sales basically by using their brand, because everyone knows who Nike are, everyone knows the quality of their products, so they can deliver a fantastic return on investment just by basically saying, these are our new products, come and buy them. If you're a small business that's not known, you can't do that. People don't know who you are, and they don't know how good your products and services are. Therefore, you need to offer something really important. I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but here's where I'm going to really sort of get into it. Now, if you've got an innovative or new product, fantastic. make sure it's really clear within your ad why it's different and better from competing products. If you're a service provider, do you have something brand new? Probably not. You probably offer a similar service to your competitors, in which case what I would recommend, and this implies for a lot of products as well, what I'd recommend is that you heavily discount your first interaction with a customer. So maybe it's the first haircut, or the first visit to your restaurant, or the first order that's under $100, something like that. You heavily discount that. I would usually recommend that companies go for break even, so whatever it's costing you, pass that on at cost, and that's really going to grab people's attention. If you're a service provider, you can also do this slightly differently. You could offer part of your service for free. So as a Facebook advertising agency, we could, for example, charge to create to set up the campaign, to set the targeting options, the campaign objective, all that sort of stuff. But we could give our, graphic design side of things where we create the ad creative away for free, something along those lines. But it's really important that you offer something fantastic, because that's what's going to get you to stand out. That's what's going to get people to stop doing what they were doing on Facebook and click on your ad and go through and buy or become a lead instead. And there's a lot, I speak to a lot of businesses, small business owners that are very reluctant to do that. They think, well, I'll lose money, I won't make any money, I'm going to pay for advertising, this is a nightmare, this is not going to work. But you only have to do it on that first transaction. I think it is much easier for a small business to generate a lot of customers relatively inexpensively by offering something that's absolutely fantastic, that's something that's not sustainable, and then make your money on those customers over the long run, than it is to try and create a campaign that's going to be fantastically profitable. On the front end, you're going to put in £1 into Facebook, get £10 back out. That's very difficult to do because the big brands can outbid you. And Facebook ads operate on a bidding system. It's just what anyone's willing to pay. You've got to pay more if there's lots of other advertisers putting a lot of money into the marketplace. Whereas, a big brand they can outbid you because they've got a better brand, they're more likely to make sales. So as a small business, you can't take advantage of that. You have to do things differently. And the offer, the heavy discount, is the way to go. And the thing is with a heavy discount, if you can get someone to buy your products and they're fantastic, they will buy again. They will buy again, and they might buy 20 times from you again. So you've only put a big discount on that first transaction. All the rest of 19 you can offer full price. If you're a service provider, most service providers have an element of repeat business. A lot of them have a big element of repeat business. If the first haircut you deliver is fantastic, people will come back, and they'll come back again and again and again. If you provide fantastic accountancy services, you are punctual and you help your customer out and you give them advice on how to save money on their taxes, they will work with you for years and years and years. So you just need to take a longer term approach and get activity through your Facebook ad campaigns. Get people to inquire, get people to buy. Don't worry about making so much money on the front end, and make it over the long run. That's such a huge key. And if you're not willing to do that, one of your competitors will, and they will steal market share. And that's particularly important if you operate on a local basis where you're competing for a limited amount of customers. That's very, very important. So that's what I'd really recommend for Facebook advertising for small businesses, is the offer, and that's the most important thing around the ad at this ad level. Now, if you're wondering sort of what do I include in the ad in terms of imagery, headlines, copy, all that sort of stuff, I'm going to include a link in the video description to another video I've created that goes through 6 ads that we've created for a number of different businesses in a number of different industries, all performed very, very well in 2019. You can model from those ads. I sort of explain why this ad worked, why this didn't work, etc., etc. You can model from those ads, you can use them. You should find that very useful if you're wondering what to do at this stage. What do I do for copy? What do I do for headlines? What do I do for images? That will help you out with all that. So go ahead and check out that video. Okay, so hopefully you found this video useful. Hopefully, if you're a small business owner, you know how to approach your Facebook ads, your Facebook ad campaigns. Just to give you a quick recap. 1, use the conversions objective. Make sure the Facebook pixel is installed on your website. 2, use lookalike audiences based off previous customers if you can. If not, just set demographic information if you operate on a local basis. Make sure your audiences aren't too small. Very, very important. Then 3, really focus down on the offer. The offer is the most important part of any Facebook ad campaign. If you can use a superior offer, that will be other campaigns that have better imagery, better copy, better targeting options, etc. Don't worry about making money on the front end. Get activity, get conversions, get people to take action, and then you can make your profit over the months and years that you go on to work with these customers. If you want to find out more information on things like lookalike audiences, on how to install the Facebook Pixel, on how to use Facebook Audience Insights if you don't have previous customers to base a lookalike audience off, if you're wondering what to include in your Facebook ad creative, vis-a-vis imagery, carousels, copy, etc., the video description below has all the links to other videos I've created. You should find that very, very useful. If you have found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, very, very important. When you do subscribe, click the little bell so that you'll be notified when I release more Facebook advertising related videos. And of course, if you've got any questions, leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below. It makes my day when people do that, so that'd be much appreciated. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.